Right now, I'd like to talk about the principle of the concept of projection, which is an aspect of victim consciousness, whereby people tend to project or put onto other people their own attributes, their own foibles, their own personality quirks and disorders and dysfunctions. It's another way of saying blame, really. But what it comes from, what's more important is where it comes from. It comes from a basic ignorance of the universal principle that there's nothing outside of self, that you're the only person on the planet, and the 7 billion people sharing the planet with you are the 7 billion reflections of all the different parts of you. It stems from an ignorance of the principle of absolute truth, which states that every single thing that happens to you, every single circumstance in your life, every single thing that comes to you, that is spoken to you, is created and orchestrated by your soul. That you chose, wanted, needed, and created it to teach you, to invite you to become greater love, to show you some reflection of some part of your mastery, some part of your divinity, or to show you some inauthentic aspect of yourself that needs refining, that needs changing. And when people live in ignorance of this universal truth, which is an absolute, what they do is they then become victims and they project onto other people. You did this to me. You made me angry. You hit my car. You, when it's really I. I created this. I created a car crashing into me to teach me something or other. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. Your car is now a picturing of your consciousness. And you can look at all the different parts of your car, all the components, as all aspects of your consciousness. So, for instance, this is really fun. It's like a game, too. It can be a lot of fun. So, when someone rear ends you, but slams into you, victims say, you hit me, ergo, you're at fault, I'll sue you, you pay. Now, that may work in the world and for the insurance company. And I have no issue with that, no argument with that, because there's the business world. But then my business is consciousness, evolution of consciousness. In terms of spiritual growth, the person did not hit you. You rear-ended yourself. And what does that symbolize? If your car is your consciousness, getting rear-ended is when you need a swift kick in the butt to get yourself moving. For instance, you might be being stubborn on a certain point. There might be a decision your soul needs you to make, God and your soul need you to make, that you refuse to make, you're afraid to make, you're stalling or hesitating, procrastinating, and you need a swift kick in the butt. Or there's a direction you need to take in your life, and deep down you know it, but you don't want to do it. So you magnetize a kick in the butt. Now, which is getting rear-ended. That's one of the many ways you can get a swift kick in the butt. Getting fired or having something happen that forces you to change is what does it. Now, interesting, I want to tie into this principle. There are three planes of existence. In outer creation, the highest vibration is sound, then light, then matter. The physical plane is the densest plane of creation, and it's actually the last place anything occurs. Now, victim consciousness people, they see something happen and they just deal with it as is. But when you start becoming the co-creator, when you go back to the causal level, the origin of creation, you start engaging at the level of the thought, the mind of God, and you can make changes in your consciousness 2 steps prior to physical manifestation. In other words, I know that sounds a little obtuse. If you get rear-ended, your soul and the universe has been sending you messages on whatever that particular point was, the reason that happened, had been sending you messages through the realm of thought and through the unseen realms of spirit many times, and use the physical plane, something consequential, as the lender of last resort. Finally, to get your attention, because every time we ignore a message that comes to us, an inspiration or a message from the divine, from our souls, the universe sends it again, only louder and bigger. Whatever you resist persists and intensifies. And so finally, you magnetize something on the physical plane to get your attention. So there's a really good, simple example of the application of projection, victim consciousness, and of being that co-creator. And you can see how much you can learn from that, rather than being about, you did this, you did that, you blame me. Because you could win the battle, but you lose the war. I mean, the objective here is spiritual growth. And if you're not looking for how and why you create things and what they're teaching you, then you're really kind of stymied. You're kind of stuck. So I hope that's been very helpful and very clear to you.